All right, so a couple of days ago, I reached out and asked people to describe what their first car accident looked like in a short story. And just to clarify, this video is not meant to make fun of the drivers, including the accidents. It's intended to solely spread awareness. But just before we got to your guys' stories, I thought, why not go first? And keep in mind that all this happened from my point of view, which was on the passenger side. Here's how it started. So me and my older brother were hungry and we went out to get food. By that time, it was relatively dark out, maybe around 8 or 9 p.m. Everything is going by normally so far. We drive to McDonald's or something along the lines of that. But little did we know what would happen on the drive home. On the drive home, maybe 4 minutes in, there's this blue BMW M6 in front of us, and it's nothing out of the ordinary so far. But then out of nowhere, this guy starts a brake check. You know, typical BMW drivers. Keep in mind, it's been a couple years since the incident, so my memory only gets fuzzy from this point on. I believe we tried to leave the lane where the driver was brake checking, but then he switched over, and then this kept going. Eventually, we get to his lane, and the light in front of us turns yellow, and then he just slams on his brake, and then we couldn't stop in time, and we ended up rear-ending him. Thankfully, no one was injured, but that pretty much wraps up my first ever accident I was involved in. So, without further ado, let's get into your guys' accidents. All right, it is now the next day, and I only waited because I thought, why not wait a bit longer just so more responses can go in. But with all that said, let's go ahead and just get straight into it. Alright, well, I'm gonna be reading these off my phone, but I'm gonna go ahead and like put what I'm reading up on the screen just so you guys can read alongside me, I guess. Alright, this first one says, broadsided by someone making a right on red when I had right away. His fault, but I could have avoided it with defensive driving. Live and learn. Lifts off oversteer into a right-hander at 140 kilometers per hour. Same corner I hit every night on an empty rural road. Just wasn't paying enough attention and didn't have the car positioned for a wide enough apex at that speed. I tried to catch it smoothly and did so until I ran out of steering angle, then went sideways into a ditch. Hit a culvert, broke the driver's side window with my head, snapped my armrest in half from the steering wheel, snapping to the right, and nearly broke my right wrist. Car flipped back on the road where it landed on its roof, and I realized I was upside down before losing consciousness. Woke up sometime later, had to kick open the passenger side door to get out, went to work a few hours later. This is going back a few years to the dark ages known as 1990. I had a 1976 Fiat 124 Spider. It looked good, but the transmission had lost second gear, so I had to go from first to third. It was the Friday before finals, and being done for the day, I went in search of something not cafeteria food. I was sitting at an intersection with the top down, waiting to make a protected left. The intersection I was sat adjacent to a mall. If I went straight, I would go past it. If I went left, I would just catch the last entrance/exit. If you exit the mall, you can only make a right-hand turn. So light goes green. Just as I get up to the mall exit, an older gentleman in a big Buick pulls out and tries to make an illegal left. I T-bone him right where his front door meets the fender. My Spider is dead, the hood is crumbled up, the passenger light and fender is smashed, and the bumper pushed the radiator support into the radiator. Steam everywhere. Buick turns and pulls over, leaving me all alone in the middle of a busy 4-lane road. I get out a little dazed, and his first words to me are, "I hope you have insurance." I did, but I had a feeling I was in trouble here. So cops come, take our statements, and I get a ticket for reckless driving because he told the cops I was going so fast I slid into him. The cops take his words over my 18-year-old self. 16, almost 17. I'm 45 now. It was my first car, 1985 Impala that I had every bit of 2 weeks. I let my foot slip off the brake while I was at a red light, and reaching for my cigarettes had fallen on the floor. Minor fender bender, but here's the catch. $700 worth of body work on a $1,200 car. I only had liability, don't smoke and drive. I was 17, my father had to buy a 1983 Civic in the early 90s. We bought it off a bail bondsman who took it from a drug dealer as part of a bail violation. So it was still titled, owned, and registered to the drug dealer. I even had his plates when I got into the accident. I was just learning to drive a stick shift when I hit a 4Runner. I put a 2-inch dent in the chrome bumper. I was terrified. I got a ticket in the mail, then a letter from an insurance company saying we were being sued for personal injury damages. My dad's gonna freak. It never went anywhere, and we all moved on our way. Even such a minor accident is scary. And the last one says, I was 5, I had saved up a nickel and talked to my older brother, 16, into giving me a ride to get a snow cone. On the way home, I dumped it into my lap. He cussed and tried to jam the brakes, hit the accelerator and said, we climbed a big oak tree, walked home 2 blocks to tell my dad we had just totaled his new Plymouth. "45-mile-per-hour head collision where a distracted driver went straight into our lane. We shot off into a ditch big enough to fit our Yukon XL completely. I was mainly in shock, everything happened so fast. My mom was driving me to kindergarten in a Jeep Grand Cherokee. My dad used to sell them. Suddenly, some smaller coupe comes from the right and crashes into us. I was still very young, so I didn't see much. The other person was at fault. Alright guys, that pretty much wraps up this video. Please let me know if you'd like to see some more voice content. That's something I'd be down for sure. And yeah, just give me some ideas or something, because I'm getting really bored of doing the same repetitive format that I have been doing. Anyways, with all that being said, thank you and stay tuned for the next one.